Hey everyone, it's Steph and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my July and August wrap-up since I did not do a July wrap-up. Oops. So now we're going to talk about my favorite and my least favorite books that I've read in the last 2 months. Here we go. In July I read 21 books. There are a whole bunch that I really enjoyed and then there are some that were just meh. So I'm going to talk about the ones I enjoyed first because we always got to start with something positive to say even if we have something just a little bit negative to say. Okay. My first favorite of July was Storing Up Trouble by Jen Turano. Her stories are so clever and witty. This is part of a series but can be read as a standalone. This series about turn of the century women. Oh my gosh.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Okay, oops. What is happening? Good lord. What'd you see is what you get. Be right back. Now we're good. Now I can keep filming. Storing Up Trouble is a really great series that just has charming characters and witty personalities, and I really like the worlds that she creates where it's turn of the century, early 1900s, I believe. They are both in society, but he's a bit of an oddball. He's very intellectual about academia, and she has her own quirks in her family. She's visiting her aunt, who's like a crazy cat lady, literally, and it's really hilarious to see her aunt's group of friends and how they all take their friend's niece under their wing and help her in society, and just how this cultivates the growth of both of them as individuals, and then maybe there's a little bit of romance involved. There is, and it's really good. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It's great. So I really enjoyed that book. Next one I read in July and I loved was Radium Girls. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. The audiobook was fantastic. I just was super invested in this true story from pretty much the beginning. It was just fascinating to me to see the effects of radium in the United States, since my only previous schema of radium in general is Madame Curie, who of course is from Europe. That was part of my vlog for the beginning of the reading rush. Check that out if you're interested. It is a fantastic book. Another one that I really enjoyed was 101 Great American Poems. This was a teeny tiny little book, so I started reading through it and it's really short and sweet, but there are a whole bunch of poems I'd never read before. This has a really nice array of diverse authors, some black, white, different ethnicities, and you really just feel like you're learning about these people and the societies that they're living in as you're reading their words and their poems. So I really enjoyed that perspective on things. Definitely recommend if you like poetry and like to broaden your horizons. This gives you a little taste of lots of different authors, which I appreciated, so that I could kind of sample lots of different poetry styles and see which ones are my favorites. Now my battery's running low. Excellent. This is going great so far. Next I have up One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next. First and second book in a series. They definitely keep you on your toes. I did dabble with the mystery thriller suspense genre within the young adult or YA group of books before kind of branching into some of the adult books in August. The young adult are a teensy bit tamer, but they still handle tough issues sometimes. It just depends on the book. I am not totally 5 out of 5 stars, but I did give both of these 4 stars, and I will tell you why. Both creatively done. I did guess very early on for One of Us is Lying who the killer was, but it's a very interesting concept inspired by The Breakfast Club meets murder mystery, where 5 people walk into detention and only 4 of them leave detention. So it really keeps you guessing and it does throw you for a loop as you're reading through it. One of Us is Next is about the follow-up, I want to say the following school year, how the effects of From One of Us is Lying, how that's affecting the school group now, and how you have a copycat, and how you have someone who's kind of threatening and causing problems within the school. I was thinking the whole time it was going to be a 3-star read for me. And then Karen McManus just adds a little something right in the last couple sentences of the book. And that's what made me bump it up to 4 stars, because I was like, I thought I had everything figured out, and then she adds something at the end. I was like, oh snap. Oh, what? Adds a little twist to the end there, and it bumped it up to 4 stars for me. There is a reason for you to stick around to the very last sentence, very last word of Karen McManus's books. Unlike other mysteries that sometimes wrap things up slowly, but you basically just already have the full picture. Not with Karen McManus. You want to wait and see what the last sentence says, because that's when the story is going to conclude. The one thing I do think it's important to note about these is, while they are entertaining, they also deal with cyberbullying and mental health issues in high school students. The mystery, the puzzle aspect of the book was really interesting. I do think it's important to take seriously when high school students have mental health issues or express unhealthy interest or cyberbullying involvement to any degree, because regardless of age, that's to be taken seriously. And these things can really impact the health of our young people in society, and they're not to be underestimated because of their age. It's got dark real fast, but one thing to take away from it, I think of this, and the same thing with like Mean Girls, even though it's a parody and comedy, high school students deal with really heavy issues, and they deal with a lot of challenges, and those aren't to be swept aside just because of their age. Take high schoolers seriously. Thoughts and their feelings matter, and they are meant to be valued and treated with respect and dignity and heard, and not just kind of brushed out of the way when it's inconvenient for adults. Their voices are important. So, okay. Moving on. One more that I really loved for July was Art Matters. This was a really great book. Apparently it takes little snippets of things that Neil Gaiman has said or published throughout the years. We had these fantastic illustrations. I forget who the illustrator's name is, but it's Chris Riddell. Riddell makes me think of Tom Riddle. He's not Tom Riddle. But his artistry is beautiful. The words are beautiful. It was short. It was sweet. I loved it. And I just really, really enjoyed this book. Definitely check it out if you are a creative person, or if you just like to be inspired by words and images, because it's just about promoting the seeking of knowledge. One of the sections about the library, which I loved, and just educating yourself and being aware of the world. And it was just more of like a seeking for your own self and your own fulfillment. So I loved that and thought that was awesome. On to two that I did not love so much in July. First one was The Handmaid's Tale. There's more about this in my reading rush video, but just to kind of summarize, I don't want to get too detailed into it because I've already talked about it. I just expected more from this world, and it just was a really kind of dark, heavy place to be. It was so out there, I found it very hard to connect with. I get what the author was trying to come across. I get what the author was trying to do. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I think the TV show makes that a little bit more accessible, making that modern day story come to life, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. Second one that I didn't really care for as much, I shouldn't say I didn't hate this book. I really liked the premise. It just kind of, the pacing of it was kind of meh, was One to Watch. So I thought the premise was fantastic. Body positivity, against fat shaming or against making people feel negative about their body. So we have this larger woman who ends up going onto a bachelorette type of TV show, what it's like for her to meet guys. Not to mention she's conscious of, you know, appearing in a swimsuit, interacting with guys, noticing what the TV production crew picks for her, and she wants an array of guys of different sizes and different bodies. She's all about embracing people's differences and showing the beauty in those differences, and I really liked those messages. The pacing kind of like dragged out for me a little bit. Like, it's all about her being on the show, right? This process of what she's learning about herself and the people around her during the show. And it took, I want to say about a third of the way through the book for her to even get onto the show. And then I felt like we pretty early on know who she's going to end up with, but then it kind of got dragged out. But the ending was really sweet. I just wanted it to be sped up. I love embracing people's differences and finding the beauty in everyone. So that I was totally cool with. Moving on to August. I read 22 books in August. Whew. Books that I loved in August. We have Joanne Barker's Miss Ashbourne. Miss Ashborn. She is a governess. After her grandfather passes away, she inherits this money, but in order for her to claim that money that would help her follow her dreams and open her dream school for young girls to kind of learn about more academic pursuits, she has to go stay with her estranged family for a month in order to claim that money. She ends up going there, staying with them, and learning about her family, learning about herself, and finding a place to belong, and meeting a handsome man across the way. Along the way, not across the way. You get the drift. It's a great romance, but it's not just about the romance, which I really liked. So it's not just about her falling in love. It's about her finding herself, figuring out her dreams, and how to make them become a reality, and falling in love. So it was a good combination. I really like her books that I read so far, and I'm excited to read more of her books. Next one I read was Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This book is fantastic. I originally listened to this on audio and I got a paper copy of it from the library, and it really just transformed the reading experience because the text is really interesting. There's designs graphically on the page and the way the words are spaced out just totally transformed this book. Definitely get this book if you are even remotely interested in it. And it's coming out with a graphic novel soon. Jason Reynolds just announced that on his Instagram page the other day, so I'm excited to see where that leads. Definitely check this book out. Whew. It's a little bit somber, a little bit sad, but it makes you reflect, it makes you think, and it really is just a wow book. You definitely want to read this book. Next one, another Jason Reynolds, For Everyone. This is short and sweet, but it's inspirational, it's creative, it's just about embracing your potential and embracing your imagination to create the life that you want to create and not being stuck in a rut like the stereotypical adult is, like in that mindset of this is what I have to do, but it doesn't bring me joy. So he's all about pursuing passion, stumbling along the way, and just finding your path in life and what fulfills you at whatever age you're at. This was written before he had the success that he has now as an author. So this is him just stumbling on the way, not sure if anyone's ever going to read this, simply saying, where am I meant to go? And this is what I feel. And it's so very open and broad that everyone can literally relate to this book. It's so good. So good. Beautiful way with words, Mr. Jason Reynolds. Excellent job. Love it. Definitely check it out if you are interested. Love from A to Z. This was a sweet romance. We see these two who are Islamic and they are practicing Muslims. She is dealing with hateful comments and dealing with really a lot of difficulties from an unprejudiced teacher, which is totally wrong, and like no one should ever be treated that way. In a classroom environment, you should feel safe and you should feel accepted, and like you can contribute and have healthy discussions about the content area. Instead, this teacher was completely rude, completely disrespectful, and completely discredited her, not to mention her ideas and what she had to contribute. So that was ridiculous, and not ridiculous on the author's part, but ridiculous that that should ever occur, even in a fictional sense. I'm not naive enough to think that that never happens ever, but that shouldn't happen. So, and then we have this young man who is dealing with a diagnosis and coming to terms with that and what that means for him, figuring out his next steps. And then we see a blossoming potential romance and what that means since they don't live in the same location. It was a really, really interesting story. I really enjoyed seeing what it was like for two faith-filled Muslim people to practice their faith and pursue a relationship together, and what that looks like with their culture and their religion for a romantic relationship prior to marriage. So that was really interesting. I learned a lot as well as just enjoyed the story. It started off a teeny bit slow, but I was glad I stuck with it because it was well worth it. Next, we have Two Can Keep a Secret. This is another Carrick McManus, and one of my colleagues recommended me this early 2020, and I was like, oh man, that's like not really my genre, but thanks so much. And then here I am months later reading this book, and it was well worth it. I enjoyed it. This is a lot to do with twins. We had these two twins come to town to stay with their grandmother for the summer, or beginning of senior year, summer into senior year, coming into this kind of ominous town, a town full of secrets, and what this means for them, their senior year, socially, as well as, you know, their future goals. Good mystery, kind of like a puzzle experience where you're kind of like trying to solve it and figure things out. So I enjoyed that. Next one I have is Miniatures and Morals. This is the only book from my reading rush that I did not finish, but I finished it now, so yay! So good. This is an analyzation on each of the Jane Austen books, and all 6 of her novels, we have like a chapter of like 30 pages analyzing the overarching plot, the characters, and the symbolism and themes in each book. I'm actually doing a reread of this now and annotating it to identify my favorite parts of the book because it was so well written, very academically minded, makes you think. I can't recommend this enough if you are a Jane Austen fan. Definitely check it out. Last one on my faves list is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And when I first saw this title, it was very off-putting because I'm like, I'm not looking for any advice on murder. That's not my thing. But that's not what it's about. Just in case you're wondering. It's a great puzzle book. It's a great like Agatha Christie style. Things are happening and I want to figure this out. So well done. Really enjoyed it. Couldn't put it down. Had to listen until we got to the end. This was a roller coaster journey and I really, really enjoyed it. Last but not least, Then She Was Gone. Not my fave at all. I know some people super hype this, and I'm so glad if you enjoyed this book, but to me it just felt heavy, depressing. There was not the excitement of solving that puzzle, so not something I need to read again. Alright, battery's about to go. I need a drink. Thanks so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you guys soon in the next one. Have a great day.